Good morning, everyone, and people online. My name is Tracy Schuknecht. Most of you know me, but just a little bit about who I am. I have been a member of Unity Sebring since I was 14 years old. So Trish is always talking about how she's been in Unity since she was 7. I was 14. So we're talking about over 30 years that I have belonged to this church. When I'm not here directing music, I am a teacher, I'm an educator. I have my bachelor's degree in special education, and then I have a master's degree in arts integration, which is like a curriculum thing. But basically it's like I love teaching and I love the arts, and it's a degree that combines those things. But other than that, I am a mom, I'm a friend, I am a musician, I am a student of the world. I'm always trying to learn, and I'm a dreamer. And my lesson title is, What Are You Thinking? And that is really my question for Trish right now. What were you thinking when you said, hey, Tracy, don't you have some things to say? And I do have a lot to say. My husband will tell you, he was already talking about it this morning. But in seriousness, what are you thinking? So, I want to talk first about something that most of us are familiar with, and that is the 5 basic unity principles. So, the first principle is there is one presence, one power in the universe and in my life, God the good. It is everything. That is principle 1. Principle 2, I am a being, and I am connected to that. I'm connected to that divine nature and essence of God. So, God is, and I am a part of that. And that Christ presence, we call it the Christ presence, is inherent in all beings and all people. So God is, I am, we are. Okay? The third one is, I am a co-creator with God. I shape my reality through my thoughts, my beliefs, how I'm feeling sometimes, and the things that I hold in my mind. So now maybe you can see the connection of where I'm going. What are you thinking? Then we talk about the fourth principle. Through affirmations and prayer and meditation, I connect and I align myself with that divine presence in order to help spark and create the things that I want to see. And then the 5th principle is, it's not enough to just think about these things. You have to do things. You have to take action. So you can connect and you can affirm and you can create, but if you don't do anything, and by do anything I mean just be an example of what you're talking about, or take action on the things that you are receiving when you are in these times of prayer and meditation. So today I really am going to focus on the first 3 principles and how they connect to what are you thinking. So the first one, God is everything, or as Trish says, the allness of beingness, right? God is everything, and I am a part of that, and I am connected to that. So with that, being a co-creator with God, those are like the foundations of what we believe. And then I think the last 2 principles are what do we build on that foundation? How do we create a life worth living? How do we create beauty in the world? How do we find our soul purpose? So, back to our thoughts. We just sang a song, our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. When I think about that, sometimes I catch myself thinking about that. There are some thoughts that I have that I don't really want to be prayers. Anybody else? Yeah. So I catch myself all the time, and we do that because we are human, right? We are souls in this body having a human experience, and so all of the thoughts that we have are not necessarily. The way I think about it is, I don't want those thoughts sent up as prayers. There are things that I thought today, this morning, on the way here, that I did not want to affirm as prayers, but there they are. And we have to acknowledge them, and then we have to decide whether or not we're going to give any energy to that. So, think about that for a second. All the time, we're having thoughts that maybe are not in alignment with who we are. So, I think about it. Today I'm going to use a lot of what I call Andyisms. If you don't know me, Andy, the previous minister here, was my father. And he became my father when I was, well, officially when I was 15, but I met him. I am the reason, like, I met him before my mom did, so I like to say he chose me as his child first, which is not true at all. But he invited me to come sing at church when I was 14. He heard me singing at the theater, and he says, "Oh, you have a lovely voice. I'd love for you to come sing one Sunday." And I had shopped around for churches a long time, and I thought, okay. And I went to church, and I really liked it. And there were some other kids, and we started a youth group. And then he and my mom met, and they got married, and here we are. But a lot of what I'm going to tell you today, or a lot of what I'm going to speak about today, I'm going to call them Andyisms. There are phrases that I hear literally every day in my mind, and I hear them in his voice, and it's because he was just the messenger of these ideas. He is probably not, I know he is not the originator of these ideas, but he is my source for these ideas. So if you know who the originator is, you can know that. But just know, for me, they came from him. But the first one I'm going to talk about is the law of mind action, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. Thoughts held in mind produce in kind. So another way that you can say that, or I heard him say it, is where my energy flows, the power grows. Or, like in our daily word today, which I read after I started writing this, what you appreciate appreciates. All of these things. So I want to tie that to our power of the month, which is imagination. We've been talking about the 12 powers, and the month of June is imagination. And last week, we didn't have to imagine Trish being a minister anymore. She is now. She has become. But Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, described imagination as the mind's picture-forming faculty and the bridge between spiritual ideas and material reality. So it's the thing that connects the two together. Here are a couple other core concepts that he had related to the power of imagination. And I am going to read this because I don't want to get it wrong. He thought that the imagination acts as the scissors of the mind, cutting the patterns for our thoughts that we'll take. He noted that ideas are formless until the imagination gives them shape. And it basically serves as a translator that externalizes spiritual ideas into physical form. So it comes from your imagination, you cut out what you're going to use, and then it becomes. Just like that. If only it were that easy. He made a strict distinction between imagination and faith, and those two things have to coexist for things to happen. So while imagination creates a mental pattern, faith is what actually brings substance into reality, having faith that things will occur. And he believed that the highest and best work of a person's imagination is the transformative power that it can have on your character or yourself. And that basically using that power of imagination to imagine yourself aligned to that divine within you and that spark of divinity that's within all of us, and becoming aligned with that part of yourself is when you start expressing that into the world. So he viewed basically the imagination as a receiver of divine ideas, and that it allows a person to go beyond their limitations and recognize the divine reality within themselves. So how do you go about knowing if your thoughts are divinely inspired, or if they're just a little egotistical or narcissistic or self-serving or selfish? How do you know? For me, and this is a conversation I had a lot of times with Andy, it is the difference between the self, lowercase s, and the self, capital S. So the self, lowercase s, is me having this human experience, right? It's all of us and our imperfections and our mistakes and the things that we are learning as we're here in these bodies on this earth, right? And the self, capital S, is that divine spark within us, that Christ's presence within us, the things that connect us to God or the universe or whatever word you want to call it. I'm going to use the word God because that's the word I'm comfortable with. But we all have this within us. We all have this divine spark, this divine presence within us. So if you are having a thought, I like to refer back to those first two principles. God is and is everywhere, and I am a part of that. And is my thought aligned with both of those things, or is it aligned with just the me? Just something to ponder. And then when we're examining our thoughts and what we're imagining, sometimes our thoughts have different energy levels and different urgency levels. So I'll be very transparent and vulnerable and tell you that I suffer with anxiety. And it's not something that really manifested in my life until I was a little bit older. And by older, I mean moving into adulthood, my late teens and then early 20s. And then it got really bad for a while. And my best friend's in the audience, and so if you see her shaking her head, you'll know. Because she has lived through all of it with me, and so has Dave. And I heard something it's much better now, by the way. I'm good. I've learned to filter out all the noise. But I heard something on a podcast last week, that I thought, I need to include that because I liked the way it spoke about that. Because I think about our thoughts, and I know whenever there's a feeling of anxiety or a feeling of uncomfortableness, that sometimes it is anxiety and sometimes it is intuition. And there's a difference between the two. And on this podcast, they said anxiety is loud. Anxiety is loud, and it is urgent, and we have to solve this right now or else I can't breathe. Anybody else ever experience this, or is it just me? Because when I heard this, I was like, yes, I agree. But intuition, which they were talking about intuition in general, but I think of intuition as that connection to that capital S self, that divine spark self. Intuition is quieter. It's like a whisper. And it doesn't mean it's not urgent. You might still feel urgency, but it's not loud and impulsive feeling. It's like a pull that's saying, hey, maybe you should think about this, or maybe you shouldn't do that. And not like, you gotta stop right now! Like, you're going off the tracks! Like, there's a difference between anxiety and intuition. So I just wanted to bring that up if there's anyone else who can relate to that experience. I heard that last week and I thought, that's really true. And then when they were talking about the intuition part, I was like, that to me sounds like that Christ presence alignment. And if you're aligned with that, it is quiet. And you may receive feelings or intuition or messages that, yeah, this is not for me, but it's not screaming at you. It's just letting you know, maybe I need to try something else, or maybe I need to think about something else, or maybe I need to go about doing this in another way. And I'm speaking very generally, but I promise there'll be a story that explains some of this. All right, so whenever you have a thought, again, take a breath, ask yourself, is this in alignment with those first two things, with God and myself? And if the answer is yes, then address it. If it's not, then maybe say, okay, I'm gonna experience this and I'm gonna let it go. And if it comes back up again, well, that's what I'm about to talk about next. So my next Andyism, which I used to hate it when he would say this one because it's really true, what you resist will persist. How many of you have heard that one before? Yes, okay. I used to hate hearing this one because it is so right. I love feeling peaceful. I do not like conflict. I would not call myself passive-aggressive, but I think I am passive. I would prefer not to deal with the situation. I would prefer to let it blow over. And I have been guilty of, I'm an empathetic person. Like, I feel like I absorb the energy of the people around me. And so for me, it's always been important that everyone feels really comfortable and safe and loved, even if it meant that maybe I was a smaller and quieter version of myself for them to feel that way. And that's not okay, actually. And then the thing, I've put off hard conversations. I haven't necessarily set boundaries. And then what happens is the same situations come up over and over again. Sometimes with the same people, sometimes with different people. And I will find myself saying, why am I doing this again? Why is this happening again? Well, there's a reason why. It's because I have resisted dealing with whatever it is, and it's a pattern, right? And again, this is the human side of us, right? This is the lowercase s stuff. And I had a conversation with someone this week about you don't serve anyone by making yourself smaller, and you don't serve anyone by not sharing your vulnerability. Because when you are vulnerable, or when you share yourself at full volume, you give other people the permission to do the same thing. And I feel very comfortable doing that in a classroom. Like when I'm in school with my kids, like I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm very nervous. I can talk in front of teenagers all day long and not feel a thing. Like it is very comfortable. Talking in front of adults is scary. But when I'm in my classroom, I feel very confident being myself at full volume. Here I am, this is what you get. Don't be weird, I say that a lot, don't be weird. That's my catchphrase in my classroom. I learned this week when I was at camp and all the kids were saying it to me. This is what you say all the time. But you are allowed to be weird. Being weird is awesome, actually. I work with middle school students, so they're all a little weird. In the best way, but not being yourself, but by being me and being a little weird and being a little quirky and being silly, I give all of these kids who are in the part of their life where they're trying to either stand out or be invisible permission to do the same. So as an adult, I should be doing the same thing with adults, right? So here I am, out of my comfort zone, having these conversations with you guys. But if you don't want to experience the same situations over and over and over again, you have to change the way that you think. And then you have to change the way that you show up. So I'm sure you guys have heard, I think it's Dr. Wayne Dyer, change your thoughts, change your mind, change your life. Is that him? I don't know. It's another one Andy used to say all the time, but I'm pretty sure that's the originator of that one. If you don't like the way things are showing up for you, you might need to do some self-reflection and think about how you are thinking about it and what your thoughts are and the energy that you're putting around those thoughts. Are you letting it be, or are you feeling some kind of way about it? Shakespeare said, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So again, we are souls experiencing these things. Our soul is not thinking this is a bad or a good thing. We are thinking it's a good or a bad thing. And I'm not saying bad things don't happen, because that is untrue. I have experienced lots of things. But the way we approach things is the energy that we give to the situation, and in turn, that is how we create what is happening around us. Okay. So when I talk about alignment with the capital S self, there's a certain feeling that invokes in me. And for me, it's a couple of different things. It's like being lit up from the inside. Have you ever been doing something or been talking to someone or been experiencing something and you just feel like light is bursting out of your soul? Like, anyone ever had that experience? I hope you all have had that experience, because when you are in, I feel like that's when you're in alignment. It's kind of like electricity, it's kind of like peace, and then it's also kind of like excitement and light just bursting forth. Like you know in that moment you're doing what your soul is meant to do, or what your soul is meant to experience. And I don't think people feel like that 100% of the time all day long. I don't think it's possible. Maybe it is. I haven't experienced that. But I think that the more you are in alignment with that capital S self, that inner Christ, the more you will experience those kinds of things. And then also finding out what it is about whatever it is that you're doing in that moment. Maybe you should be doing more of that. Like, I know when I am singing with my friends, or when I'm creating music with other people, or when I'm working with students and I see that they get it, or that they are having that moment themselves where they're like, oh my gosh, this is me and I can do these things. That's when I feel that within me, and I know that that is what I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense. So, back to imagination. It's one of our 12 powers that we work with each day. And when we imagine something, a scenario, a job, a way of feeling, a way of being, if we are in alignment with our higher self, the capital S self, then we have the ability of really co-creating with God, like our third principle says. I'm not saying you can't co-create with God when you're not in alignment. You certainly can, but you're probably going to be co-creating some things that you don't really want to experience as much, if that makes sense, because your energy is what informs what happens. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, all right, so I know what you're thinking. Tracy, you have not won the lottery yet. I probably will not win the lottery ever. But I haven't found eternal youth. I haven't found 100% happiness all the time. Like, I get sad and anxious. This week had multiple opportunities to experience those things. But I do know that even when I am going through a very tough time, or when I am frustrated, or when I am feeling very disconnected from myself and from humanity and from everyone around me, I know that I have a 100% success rate of reconnecting, bouncing back, and getting through it. I want to say that again, because when you are going through really, really difficult times, you've gotten through them all so far, right? We're all here. We've gotten through them. And the reason for that is that connection to God. It is not anything else. It is we are connected to God, therefore we are. So we can get through anything that life throws at us, even if we perceive it as being not great. So when we think about imagining the life we want, it's not so much about material things or about stuff. It's, for me anyway, anymore. Although there are some material things and stuff I would like to have. I would love to not have to worry about how I'm going to help pay tuition for my child in college. I would love to go to work just because I love going to work every day and not have to think about money. Like, these are things I'm working on manifesting in my life, co-creating with the universe and God. But I also know that I've always had just enough. And I've always, actually usually more than enough. And I know that it is our birthright to have abundance and to be abundant in the Spirit of God. So God is my source. God is all of our sources. So lack and scarcity and those kinds of mindsets, I just try to, it's one of those things that is not in alignment with that higher S self. Now, next week when I'm talking about how I'm working 3 jobs and I don't have enough money, Nellie will remind me. She'll be like, you just said, Tracy. She'll keep me honest. You just said it's going to be fine. I've been telling her, we've been doing this together. It's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. It does. It always. Have you guys noticed it always works out? One way or another. Might not be the way we want, but in the long run, in retrospect, it usually works out the way we need and the way our soul needs and whatever lesson we need to experience. I think when we think about what we are trying to co-create, it's more about a feeling. And I don't know about you guys, but as I'm getting older, I find that what I want is to feel peaceful. And I want to feel safe. And I want to feel seen. And I want to feel appreciated. And I want to feel like I am contributing. Those are the things that I feel like in my life at this point, I'm hoping just in the middle, like I'm in the middle of my life right now. I'm hoping that those are the things that I am working on claiming and manifesting. And I feel like being in alignment with that imagination, with that divine spirit within me, that Christ presence, is what brings those things to be. We're not individual forces in this world. We're connected to everyone and everything. That is why things affect us. That is why I give myself a limit on how much of the news I watch. Not to be uninformed, but just because I will take it on and then I will stew in it. And I can't do that. Because if I want to be, like I think about our little picture of the little people with the light and like shining the light and spreading the light. If I want to be one of those people that's putting the light out there in the world, I can't get mired down in all of the things that I can't carry the whole world on my shoulders. All I can do is contribute to this part of the world that I'm in and hope that that ripple effect continues, right? So we are all connected. And something else Andy used to say all the time, if there is something that you want, that creates more want. And that if there's something that you feel like you lack, you're creating more lack by thinking that you lack it. So it's not about that. It's about giving thanks for what you have and showing gratitude and appreciation for the way the universe and God shows up in divine order always for you. So I'm going to give you an example of this. I've been a teacher for a long time. I think this coming year will be my 25th year working for the school board of Highlands County. I was a teacher's assistant before I became a teacher, and while I was going to school to become a teacher. If you would have asked me as a teenager that if I was going to be a teacher, I would have been like, heck no, no way, no. But literally it is what I've been put on this earth to do, I think. I'm fortunate that I've figured it out. But I had a particularly hard one year at school, like hard to the point of I was physically ill, and the anxiety was bad. Like, I mean, really bad. Like, I went to counseling. I actually took medication for a little while. I could not, even though I know all these things, and I believe all these things, and I meditated, and I literally was on the phone with Mom and Andy every day of the week. Like, I think I need to find a new profession. I don't think I need to be doing this. And my husband, who is very wise, said, I think you just need to go to a different school. And I was like, no, I just don't think I should be doing this. I think I'm meant to do something else. I don't know what that is, but I just can't do this anymore. So what was I doing? Resisting. And then finally, I had a particularly bad day at work, and I was like, okay, that's it. I'm doing something. I got to move. I can't do this anymore. I'll try this other school, and if that doesn't work out, then I'll find something else. I'll go be a bank secretary. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. So I went to the school I'm currently at. I think it's going to be my 13th or 14th year there now. I went there, and it took me a year to recover emotionally and mentally and like all of those things. I had to really, really retrain my mind because the situation I was in was not a healthy situation for me. And then the second year I was there, I was like, okay, I'm feeling more comfortable now. I want to start a club, a performing arts club. I want to start a performing arts club. So I went and I spoke to the administration, and they said, well, absolutely, but wouldn't you just like to teach that? And I was like, yes, please. So me and a colleague, we each started with one theater class each. Each of us got one. And it was awesome. And I was teaching language arts, which I also enjoyed. And I enjoyed teaching. I moved from elementary to middle school, which I told you, middle school, those are special. Those are my people. But as we continued, the second year, I was given 2 classes, and 97 students signed up for those 2 classes. I had to have a bouncer at the door to turn kids away and tell them they had to reschedule, which was heart-wrenching for me because I was like, I just need a bigger room. Just give me a bigger room. And now I teach it full-time. I teach theater all day, every day. Our program has grown. Kids are getting the opportunity to express themselves. They get to be creative when so much is focused on, we have to do this, we have to learn this, and we have to do it in this order. And if you would have told me 15 years ago that I would have created and started running a theater program full-time at my school, I would have said, oh, I wish. Yeah, I'll never be able to do that. But here I am doing that, and I forget sometimes still that, I mean, someone else started it with me, but I've had many other someones with me along the way, and I have stayed. So the next thing I want to talk about is accepting the challenge, accepting the need for change, being scared about it because it's going to be scary, but then doing it anyway because what else do you have to lose besides being miserable? So if there's something happening with you right now, or it could be something as small as a habit that you are trying to break, and there's like a little voice saying, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be doing that so much. Just listen to it, because there's a reason for that. As long as the voice is not yelling, and then you should maybe not listen to it. So I'm really thankful for my wise husband. I'm saying it out loud and in public. My wise husband saying, no, you're supposed to be a teacher. Maybe you just need to go somewhere else. And I'm also thankful that I was brave enough to say, hey, can I just start doing this with kids for fun? And it has now turned into my career. That's pretty special. And the really special thing about that is you guys have seen some of the fruits of that because a lot of my former students have come here or have performed here or have performed in our theater locally or have gone off to college to pursue music and theater, which are things I would have loved to do and did not do. So again, finding that alignment with what you were supposed to be doing. That was an imagining. What if I could teach? What if I could start a club? What if I could teach theater? And here we are. That doesn't seem like maybe a big thing, but for me, it's a big thing. I also know that right now, I'll try not to be on a soapbox, and I know we're getting close to time. Public education is not exactly a fun place to be, at least for teachers right now. And but I'm not too worried about it because I know that whatever is coming my way, God and the universe has got me, right? I'm saying that right now. In a couple weeks, I might be freaking out a little because something might happen. Our insurance might get cut, or whatever. But then again, I just have to remind myself, you're good. God's got this. You're part of the allness. You don't have to worry. Experience the discomfort and let it go. And then I'm gonna skip some things I was gonna say because my favorite Andyism, which is not really an Andyism or a quote so much as it is an affirmation. Thank you for my best and highest good. My life is unfolding in perfect divine order. I claim this or something better. So I think Andy's favorite words were divine order. I don't know, am I right? Yeah. He is all about you are in the right place at the right time in the right moment, always. And he was correct. Even if it doesn't feel like it's the right place, the right time, the right moment. Our son this week, we went up to Tallahassee to schedule his classes and to have his orientation. And he had applied for the film school and was waitlisted. And so we got there, and he's still waitlisted, and we met with the colleges, and he got to meet with the film school. I know he was very excited, and they said, well, no matter what, you're going to schedule with us. This was like at 1:30 in the afternoon. And so there was like a activity fair or whatever, and at 3 o'clock, while we were walking around this activity fair, he got an email saying, thank you for your application. The wait list is closed. You are not accepted into our program. You've been changed to exploratory major. So that is very disappointing, and their timing was not great. And they did apologize because it shouldn't have happened that way. But it was very frustrating. It was a frustrating moment for him, a frustrating moment for us. Dave got very frustrated because then we had to figure out how he was going to schedule, right? We had already met with the college. They had already reviewed his transcripts and helped to try and build a schedule. And something to me said, why don't you just email the advisor? And email the advisor that we just met and and ask her what classes to take. And then she emailed back immediately, no, you come schedule with us. So he is doing an exploratory major. He can reapply. If that's where he's supposed to be, if divine order says that's where he's supposed to be, that's where he's going to be. But he's ending up exactly where he needs to be. And that is hard to accept sometimes. It was hard for me to accept in the moment as a mom. I'm sure it was hard for Dave, I don't want to speak for him, to accept in the moment. And I know it was hard for him to accept in the moment because he had just met all these people and was like, okay, maybe this is the path. But I know whatever he does up there, he's going to end up doing what he's supposed to be doing. And it's hard to feel that in the human moment. And when we're being our lowercase s self, we want our kids to have what they want and what they feel comfortable with, but he's getting exactly what he needs, whether we know it or not, if that makes sense. I also think about Reverend Robin last week said something about Andy had a lot of great work to do here and that Trish's work was put off until his work was finished so that she could come here. And if that is not divine order and work, I don't know what is. And she was exactly right. But when she said that, it really struck a chord in me. Yeah, things happen. All that stuff that was going on with Trish was hard stuff, and she didn't see the divine order in it at the moment, but here we are, full circle. So, last thoughts. If you feel called to do something, if you're imagining something, even if it's just a feeling, do it. Just do it. Let your imagination grow legs. Identify what you're resisting and get rid of the roadblocks. Find out what's standing in the way of doing those things. And most importantly, start from a place of gratitude. Using your gratitude, getting in alignment with that capital S self, that Christ presence, and then marrying imagination and faith together, taking what you have in here and putting legs to it and knowing that it is what's supposed to be. and getting out of your way, boom, it'll happen for you. You'll end up creating a whole program that you would never imagine that you could do. That's me. But you will do something else because you are getting out of your own way, you're having gratitude, and you're thinking about what you're thinking and how you're thinking about it. So I'm going to leave you with a quote because I'm doing a play right now, I'm working on Rent, and we were singing yesterday, and the lyrics, I love them. So I might sing them for you because it's better sung. But there's only now, there's only here, given to love or live in fear. No other path, no other way, no day but today. So today, say yes to what you're imagining. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Please visit www.unityofsebring.org for more information, to submit a prayer request, or to donate to our ministry. We hope to see you again very soon.